chef, whatever it is that you are doing right now, building a personal brand will make it easier to attract clients, earn more money, and get noticed. Okay. So whatever you're doing, keep it up. And a personal brand is basically your competitive advantage. But in every business, by the way, now for some businesses, that ceiling is 100 million a year, but every business and every opportunity does have a ceiling. Okay. So for some of you, maybe you've hit a ceiling in your current career. For example, you could be the best personal trainer in the world and you might make 15, 20,000 a month, right? Whereas if you're online personal trainer, like, or you're doing fitness online, I mean, a lot of people making 20 grand a month are just not to be insensitive, but that's just very normal for most people in the online space. So that's kind of where like you could be capping out. Or let's say, for example, you want a clean slate, building a personal brand puts life on easy mode, I should say. So whatever it is you're doing right now, whether that's an agency, whether you're a chef, whether you're a real estate agent, anything that you are doing right now, a developer, whatever it is, okay, use a personal brand to make yourself more valuable, make your time worth more money, or start a business, whatever it is that you're doing, okay? When does a clean slate make sense? As I mentioned, you don't like your career, you realize your career is not scalable. Like, you can be the best personal trainer in the world. As I said, if you're doing one-to-one sessions, there is inevitably a cap on that because you're just, you're serving one-to-one. You're not serving one-to-many. Or let's say, for example, you're a lawyer and you're looking to make your first step into your online career. Well, then in that case, if you are starting with a clean slate, in my opinion, in 2025, there's only one way you should be monetizing your personal brand, and that is with information. And I am so excited for this portion because I know we're going to lock heads, because I know that you have very strong opinions on selling information. And maybe I'll get you.
Today, this is about you.
So no. Listen, I would love to have a respectful debate about it. You see?
I will lose. I think in your house, I will lose for sure.
No, I don't think so. No. All right, let's go for it.
Okay.
Because, for me, there's a stigma around selling coaching and courses, but whether you like it or not, and I know for some of you guys, you might want to jump off a bridge when you hear this, you have bought info before. Mm-hmm. You have bought info, you've bought info, everyone.
I'm selling a book.
Yeah, that's info. Yeah. And I really don't think people understand that college, books, tutors, even consulting firms, when you go to McKinsey and Company, you're paying them for info. For example, even sometimes, when I need to call my lawyer, he's billing me per hour for info. Now, there's certain things that my lawyer and my attorneys, they're acting on my behalf. That goes from info to services. All that stuff is info. And I'll give you an even better example, for me to really drive this point home. When I work with my tennis coach, he's not holding my hand. When I work with my tennis coach, he's not holding my hand and hitting the ball for me. Okay. So I'm paying him for info. So even when you're studying for exams and you're working with a tutor, even when you're working with your tennis coach, you're paying for information transfer. Now it all comes down to packaging. Okay. So there's many different ways you can package it, whether that's a book, and you're selling info through the form of a book, whether that's an online course, whether that's coaching, the way you package it up is up to you. But at the end of the day, the business is selling information. Okay. In fact, I'll give you some examples. In fact, some of the biggest names in the online space have made majority of their money selling information. Russell Brunson, okay, and I know you've had him on.
Yeah, genius.
Yeah, absolute genius.
Loved his episode. So much learning.
Russell Brunson made a ton of money selling info. In fact, he created a DVD course on how to make a potato gun, and he made millions of dollars doing so, which is why, as well, you can find, I call it unique value zones. A lot of this more technical information is in that unlisted YouTube video. I call it unique value zones. You don't want to focus on a massive market. So I'm not telling you should sell information on fitness like that. Now you have to get into expert territory. And trust me, first of all, you're not an expert. You shouldn't claim to be an expert. But instead of fitness, rather than fitness, let's say you go from fitness, your niche is mothers. And let's say your unique value zone is helping postpartum mothers lose their pregnancy weight in 12 weeks. Okay. Or let's say, for example, even with me, you don't want to be Ali Abdaal. You don't want to be the productivity guy. But let's say something I even struggle with to this day. If your unique value zone and the only thing you dedicated your life to and you studied and you researched was helping successful online entrepreneurs reduce their screen time, leading to more peace and profit in their life. Like, do you think?
Good idea, by the way.
Yeah, and by the way, that's something I would pay for. Now, you should not be a productivity expert. I'm not saying you should be don't try to compete with Ali Abdaal, okay? Instead, rather than the sector or the industry, even, people say, oh, find your niche. I don't even think you should find your niche. You should find your unique value zone. Okay. The little small aspect of the market that you're cornering. Going back to, the statement of, how many people have made their money, selling information. Alex Hormozy, he made, I would say conservatively $100 million with Gym Launch. Gym Launch was a coaching company. They would charge $30 or $42,000 a year to coach gyms on how to grow. Okay. And he made easily $100 million with info. And also he uses personal brand to scale his portfolio companies, which once again are primarily info businesses. Another example, Alex Becker, entrepreneur and SaaS founder. He conservatively made $75 million from selling info, and then he used that money for his next ventures. Now, most people never get started because they think they don't have anything valuable to share. But like I said, you don't need to be an expert. You just need to synthesize information that is already out there. I'll give you another example. When you're having driving lessons, you're paying for info, right? It's not like the driving instructor is holding the wheel for you. You're paying for knowledge transfer. Okay. They have knowledge on how to pass that you don't have. And by the way, they're not saying they're an expert, because a lot of the guidelines and a lot of the ways that you succeed, that information's already, there's been books on it out there. There's procedures, there's protocols on there. So all they do is they synthesize that information. They study that information, and then they help a knowledge transfer to you. Okay. How do you actually succeed with this? Okay. So I'm not saying that you should be an expert. You don't need to be an expert. All you need to do is synthesize everyone knows this. Okay. All the information is out there. I'm a massive fan of paying for info. I still do it to this day. There was a individual I paid $250,000 for, for 10 calls. I think, to be entirely honest, the first 2 calls, we kind of talked business. The other 8 calls, we just kind of, we basically just chatted. And, but I was cool with that because I got what I needed. Once again, I was in a very specific, industry. There's one specific outcome I got. And for me, that 250,000 was worth it. I get it. These are large numbers. So in your case, maybe divide it by, let's say, for example, you have a very specific problem, and for you, the $250, let's say, or $25, it's worth it paying that amount of money to have a knowledge transfer from someone who's many steps ahead of you. So even to this day, I'm still paying for info. Once again, every time I call my lawyer, I'm paying for info. He's billing me for knowledge transfer.
By the way, nothing you've said right now I would disagree with at all. I also pay £8,000 a month to a business coach, because what got me here won't get me there. So, there's this nuance to it, but I'm going to let you finish before I say what I think about it.
So, changing times. This wasn't actually possible a few years ago, but with the advent of AI, you can now easily find information on a specific market's problems and then synthesize that information in order to help people through coaching. In my opinion, when you're first getting started out, I don't think it's smart to sell digital products when you're first starting out. I think you should be working with people one-on-one, because then it's easier to help them out. You're getting more face-to-face time. I think you should have face-to-face time with your market. And what's funny is people tell me all the time, like, you shouldn't sell your time for money. It's funny because there's a lot of things that people think sounds right, but when you're further ahead in the game, like you understand it's just that. It sounds nice, but it's not it's not actually factual. This whole you shouldn't sell your time for money. Okay, well, Taylor Swift sold her time for money and she made $1 billion on her last tour. So should she not sell her time for money? Your favorite football player sells his time for money. He gets a wage and he has to show up to training and games at these specific times. He's selling his time for money. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with selling your time for money, just as long as you're getting paid adequately. So with that personal trainer, the in-person personal trainer example, he can still sell his time for money just as long as he's getting adequately compensated for it. Let's say, for example, by working with online coaches. So now he has his client base is all around the world. Or let's say he does a hybrid model where, at the beginning, like really boring, the stuff with not much nuance where it's going to be applicable to every single client, that is formed as a digital product, or this training that someone has to go through before they start working with an online coach. And then they pick up, 50% of the way through, where now it's, more nuance and more detail is needed for their specific case. So information's all out there. You just need to basically synthesize it, package it up into the right formatting and the right procedure, and then tackle one specific unique value zone.
Again, everything you just said there, I agree with. The nuance on the, I actually am one of those people that say don't sell time. But it's kind of like thumbnail titles and on YouTube videos. Sometimes you need to look at the detail, what that actually means. Because let's take the Taylor Swift example. She's not selling the 2 hours she's on stage. She's selling an outcome. She's selling the 50,000 people in a stadium being filled up for 7 days.
But listen,
So
the
she's
point
got
is,
upside on the outcome, and that's the nuance I would like people to learn.